Welcome to our channel where we bring you the most terrifying true horror stories. These tales are guaranteed to keep you up at night, so be sure to stay away from the mirror if you don't want to vanish. In today's episode, we will be reading from our story, Creepy Village of Mirrors. And without further ado, let's begin. It was 2008. My name is Jesse, and I am one of the luckiest people alive. That's because one day, while hiking with my best friends, Jake and Justin, we found a hidden village in the mountains. We were out exploring for the second week in a row, looking for an isolated place where we could pitch our tent and get away from the hustle and bustle of city life. We drove through winding roads up and down mountains until we finally reached a small town. It was cut off from civilization and didn't have a name or appear on any of our maps, but it looked like a great place to relax. So we parked our car, grabbed our gear, and headed to the forest. The small town was situated in a valley surrounded by high mountains. The streets were very clean and there were houses here and there, but we couldn't find anyone. Then we heard the sound of dogs barking and some voices. We followed the sounds and came across a large house. 2 women and 3 children were outside. They invited us in and offered us water and chairs. After talking with the women for a bit, we learned that she was called Maria. She told us that her husband was out hunting and would be back soon. She also said that the other villagers had gone out to gather food for the winter. They were very hospitable and insisted that we stay with them for the night. As we didn't want to bother them, we accepted their offer and agreed to leave the next morning. The room where they offered for us to sleep was very cozy. It had 2 beds, one of which was used by the children, a boy and 2 girls who were playing quietly when we arrived. After we woke up, Maria offered us breakfast and said that her husband had taken care of our horses. We thanked them for their kindness and told them that we had to go now. As we approached the door, one of the girls asked us, "Where are you going?" Her mother quickly silenced her and ushered us out of the house. When we were about to leave, her husband came in. He was tall and muscular with long flowing hair. His face was covered in tattoos and he had a fierce look in his eyes. He welcomed us and told us that he would take us to a better place to camp. He led us through a path in the forest that we wouldn't have found on our own, and after a while we arrived at a clearing. It was perfect. There was a beautiful lake nearby and lots of firewood. We set up our tent and got ready to spend the night there. Around 9 p.m., Jake, Justin, and I decided to collect more wood for the fire. As we walked into the forest, we realized that it was pitch black. We couldn't see anything. Suddenly we heard a noise and turned around. We couldn't see anything, but the noise came again. This time it sounded like someone was running away. We kept walking and collecting wood. As we made our way back to the campsite, we could hear voices coming from the trees. We froze and listened intently. It sounded like people whispering and laughing. Then we saw movement. We tried to make out what was happening, but couldn't see anything. We ran back to the tent as fast as we could. When we got inside, we zipped it up and huddled together. We sat there for what felt like hours, listening to the noises outside. Suddenly, we heard footsteps near the tent. We didn't say a word. Whoever was out there kept walking. We relaxed a little and went back to whispering. "I can't believe this," Justin said. "This place is creepy. Let's just get out of here." I nodded in agreement. Just then, we heard a loud bang on the tent. We screamed and hugged each other. The banging continued for a few minutes, then stopped. When we unzipped the tent to look around, we couldn't see anyone. There were no footprints in the mud either. We packed our things and hurried to the car. We didn't stop until we reached the highway. That night, we stayed in a hotel and didn't talk much. Each of us was thinking about what had happened in the forest. We agreed to never go back. The following year, we decided to go on another hiking trip. We chose a different path and hoped for the best. After 2 days of walking, we found another village. It was similar to the first one, but this one seemed even more isolated. We knocked on a door and waited. A woman opened it and smiled at us. She invited us in and offered us food and drinks. We told her that we were looking for a place to camp, and she said that we could pitch our tent in her backyard. We accepted her offer and thanked her for her kindness. After we had rested a bit, we decided to explore the village. As we walked down the street, we noticed that all of the windows and mirrors had been covered with black cloth. We thought it was strange, but didn't think much of it. We went to the town center and found a grocery store. We entered and began browsing the shelves. We were surprised to see that they had everything we needed: food, water, and even flashlights. We paid for our items and left the store. Then we noticed a sign that read, "Beware of dogs." We turned around and saw a pack of wild dogs running toward us. We screamed and ran away. They chased us for a while, but eventually gave up and disappeared into the forest. When we got back to the woman's house, she asked us what had happened. We told her about the dogs, and she said that they must have come from the neighboring village. At night, we heard chains dragging metal moans. We were too scared to go back to the village, so we stayed in the car. In the morning, we unzipped the tent and found that our supplies were gone. We were hungry and thirsty and had no choice but to return to the village. The woman wasn't home, but we could hear voices coming from inside the house. We knocked on the door and waited. A young girl opened it and looked at us with blank eyes. She didn't say a word, just stared at us. "Is your mother home?" I asked her. She shook her head and disappeared into the house. We heard footsteps coming down the stairs. A moment later, the same woman who had invited us in greeted us at the door. She apologized for what had happened the night before and invited us inside. She offered us water and food, but we politely refused. We told her that we needed to leave now, and she said that she understood. As we were leaving, she called us back and said that her daughter had taken our supplies. "I'm sorry," she said. "She doesn't know any better." We understood that she was trying to protect her daughter, so we didn't say anything. When we got back to the car, we saw the supplies that her daughter had taken. She had brought us more food and water than we had asked for. We decided to stay another night. The next day, we said goodbye to the woman and her daughter and started walking. We didn't know where we were going, but we hoped to find civilization soon. After a while, we came across a river. We needed to cross it to continue our journey. As we waded in, we felt something brush against our legs. We looked down and saw hundreds of dead fish floating in the water. We hurried to the other side and continued on. We walked for hours until we finally saw a road. We were exhausted and hungry, so we started walking faster. As we approached the road, we saw a truck coming toward us. We waved our hands and yelled, but the driver didn't seem to see us. He kept driving straight toward us. Suddenly, the forest went dark. The trees seemed to close in on us and the ground shook beneath our feet. The truck screeched to a halt a few feet away from us. The driver stepped out and asked if we needed help. We told him that we were fine and asked him for a ride to the nearest gas station. He agreed and drove us for about 10 miles. When we got out of the truck, we thanked him and started walking. We had been walking for so long that our feet were sore and we couldn't walk anymore. We sat down on a nearby bench and took off our shoes. As we did, we saw something strange. Our feet were covered in dirt and scratches, as if we had been crawling on the ground. We looked at each other and realized that we couldn't remember anything from the past 3 days. We had no idea how we had gotten there or how we had managed to survive. Suddenly, a man approached us. "Are you lost?" he asked. "Do you need help?" We told him about the village, and he looked at us with concern. "You need to stay away from there," he said. "It's a dangerous place." We asked him why, but he just shook his head and walked away. We were scared, but we had no choice but to return to the village. We started walking back, but after a few minutes we heard the sound of chains dragging metal moans. We turned around and saw the same truck approaching us. We screamed and ran away. The driver opened his door and yelled, "Get in!" We hesitated, but eventually got in. He drove us away from the village and eventually stopped. "This is as far as I can take you," he said. "From here, you need to find your own way." We thanked him and started walking. We didn't know where we were going, but we didn't care. We just wanted to get away from the village. As we walked, we saw a sign that read, "Welcome to Willow Creek." We had finally reached civilization. We entered a small diner. Outside, the fog was thick, but inside, the warmth and light offered a brief moment of comfort. We ordered coffee and burgers, trying to piece together our scattered memories. As we talked, the waitress, a kind-eyed older woman, came over to us. Her face suddenly went pale. "Boys, you didn't happen to go near Mirror Hollow, did you?" she asked in a low, trembling voice. Mirror Hollow? I repeated. Is that what the place is called? She leaned closer, her hands shaking. People around here don't talk about it. That village, it's cursed. They say the mirrors there don't show your reflection. They show something that watches you. If you stare too long, it takes you. That's why they cover the mirrors. The three of us exchanged fearful glances. Takes you where? Justin asked quietly. She shook her head. No one knows. People disappear, hikers, travelers. Anyone who goes in never comes out. And if they do, they're different. Like part of their soul stayed behind. Something inside me broke. The girl's blank stare, the covered windows, the whispers in the forest, all replayed in my mind. We didn't look into any mirrors, I said, trying to reassure myself as much as her. That's good, she said seriously. Get out of here. Never come back. And whatever you do, don't look into a mirror tonight, not until you're far away. We thanked her and left, her words echoing in our heads. We checked into a nearby motel and sat in our room. Sleep was nowhere near me. There was a mirror above the sink. Jake quietly stood up, grabbed a towel and draped it over the mirror. Just in case, he muttered. That night I dreamed again. I stood by the lake, but instead of water, it was a sheet of polished glass. The sky wasn't reflected. Instead, a twisted, terrifying version of the village appeared. Faces pressed against the glass. Maria, the tattooed man, and the girl, all staring at me. Their lips moved, whispering my name. I tried to run, but my reflection in the glass reached out and grabbed my ankle. I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. Jake and Justin were already awake, their faces pale. You heard it too, right? Jake asked. I nodded. The faint but unmistakable sound of chains dragging echoed through the room. We didn't wait for morning. We grabbed our bags and rushed to the car. The motel's flickering lights cast long shadows on the ground. As I started the engine, I glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. For a split second, it wasn't my reflection staring back. It was her. The same girl from the village, her blank eyes locked on mine, a faint smile curling on her lips. Jesse! Justin shouted, snapping me back. The mirror was normal again, but my hands shook on the wheel. We drove on in silence, the dark road stretching endlessly ahead. Weeks passed. We tried to move on, but the village's terror lingered in our breaths. We avoided mirrors and jumped at sudden noises. Then one night, I got a message from Jake. A photo. Blurry, but clear enough. A mirror in his apartment, the towel he'd hung over it lying on the floor. Reflected in the glass was the village clearing, the lake shimmering under a blood-red sky. I called him immediately, but he didn't answer. I rushed to his place. The door was ajar, darkness inside. Jake was gone. Written on the mirror in what looked like ash were the words, "You can't leave Mirror Hollow." I never saw Jake again. Justin and I moved across the country, changed our numbers, and swore never to hike again. But sometimes, late at night, I hear the faint dragging of chains outside my window. I've covered every mirror in my house, but I can still feel something watching me, from behind one of them, waiting. If you ever go hiking in the mountains and find a village that doesn't appear on any map, turn back. Don't talk to the locals. Don't stay the night, and whatever you do, don't look into any mirrors, because once you do, Mirror Hollow will never let you go. Today we are safe from the village and its secrets. But sometimes I have nightmares about those creepy villagers and their covered mirrors. And now you know the terrifying tale of Creepy Village of Mirrors. Did you enjoy this eerie tale? If so, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. And if you dare, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your engagement keeps us motivated to bring you more creepy stories. So thanks for watching and happy haunting.